があるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。バーチャルプローズ。
Boy, you should know that I had you on my mind, secret admirer. I've been watching you. Should I swing my way? Should I look good at me? Now would you please swing my way? Should I swing my way?
Episode 80 of That World Champion Sound Virtual Pros Podcast. My name is Al, aka Henny Omega, aka the Bandman, aka Bougie Nagata, aka Dr. Keith Drapinski, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka Super Brazy, aka Pete Gas Break Dip Dip, aka No Speak Broke Boy, Kami Shinsuke Stack a Mill Up. And with me, one half of the Holy Schemin' Army, one half of Lemolition, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, one half of the Bread Hunters, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? It's Mike, a.k.a. Crack Saber Jr., a.k.a. Sticky Fuji, a.k.a. Wavy Boy Smith, a.k.a. Tim Tam Bigelow.
Today's topic, the 2018 Year-End Awards. Listen to Al and Mike bless a chosen few with the VRTL seal of approval. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on SoundCloud. Hit that heart. You know I like it. Hit us on iTunes and leave a 5-star review and subscribe if you haven't already. And peep us on Spotify if you haven't. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. We got some emails, Mike. You been starting off with that first one.
Sure, the first one's from Eric. It's titled Lance Storm's Chair Shot and Some Other Stuff. Hello, pros. I recently rewatched the famous Barely Legal match where Lance Storm gently pats Rob Van Dam on the head with a chair, and I thought about two things. One, Rob Van Dam looks incredibly nude without his hand wraps, like nuder than Minoru Suzuki in that old picture where he's wearing a pink banana hammock and using some sort of training bondage device to do a full split in the air. I feel like I'm seeing something I shouldn't be seeing, but the only extra skin I'm seeing is his wrist and hand skin. Am I crazy? Two, nobody ever talks about how right after the chair pat from hell, RVD totally whiffs a springboard move and falls on his ass like the physical embodiment of the classic tweet, "Check this shit out, motherfucker." And then in parentheses, I slide one foot out from under me and fall on my ass. It's not clear what kind of move I was trying to do. I think we should give Lance Storm less shit for trying not to concuss his coworker, and we should give RVD more shit for being a nude-wristed klutz. What do you think? Sincerely, Eric, a.k.a. Lance Storm's giant blonde rat tail, the person? I don't remember this. I guess it didn't stick out to me that he looked nude without his wrist tape, but it's been a while since I've seen that match. The only thing I can think of that compares to this is kind of the opposite, and it's whenever I see old pictures of Scott Hall with a mustache, I'm just like, that doesn't look right at all. But, he had that for a really long time, and I'm glad he got rid of it. But, anytime I see it, an old picture of him, it really weirds me out.
Funny you should point that out, Eric, because I didn't even know he had hand wraps. So it kind of proves your point that I didn't even know he had those things on. Yeah, I do remember Lance Storm lightly patting RVD on the head and just like being confused as a 13-year-old. And, now in retrospect, you're like, oh, well, CTE. Probably the best move for Lance Storm to do that, but yeah, that moment did stick out to me. That and RVD's like gradient rainbow singlet. That was a pretty hot look. Next up, go ahead.
Yeah, the next one, I'll take this.
Okay.
So Justin wrote in again. He was the guy who wrote in last episode, telling us that he had insider knowledge that the WWE has like a special marketing group for their belt buyers, which is only for their frequent belt buyers, which I guess is around 100 people. And, he, I asked him to write in with some more stats, and he went above and beyond. He wrote, like, he has graphics here. He has, a lot of words. It's just a very long, factual email. So I figured I'd summarize it because I think like everybody would be bored if I just try to read it word for word. But basically the gist of it is that he had like data on one man basically dropping 37 grand on belts in a 3-month span. And it's not like this guy just sat down and bought 37 grand worth of belts at once. It's not like there was some pattern where he was, buying 2 of each belt every day. It was kind of sporadic. Like one day he would buy 2 belts of, whatever they were. And then like the next day he would buy 6, and it would be all like weird times. Sometimes it would be at like 5 in the afternoon. Sometimes it would be 1 in the morning. And there's no pattern to it. And and it's basically multiples of every single belt they sell. That's including the $2,000 belts they sell, which I didn't even know were a thing, but apparently they sell belts that go for like $2,000. So even Justin was wondering what the fuck, like who is doing this? And my guess would be some kind of store, but you would figure if it was a store, it would have kind of like a clear pattern, like they would be buying once a week or something like that. So I have no idea what it could be. Maybe like a charity, something that I don't, like maybe a charity that gives to kids or something. Like I don't know what it could be, but a store doesn't add up. And I don't think just a regular person would have some compulsive disorder where they're just buying this many belts in this span of time. And I don't think if you ran I don't think if you ran a store it would make any sense, because it's not like, or like even sell them on eBay, it's not like you're going to make any more than what they cost because they're readily available. So I don't know, Al, do you have any insight in this? Do you have any theories on how this guy could drop 37 grand on belts in 3 months?
I don't think it's a store, because if it was, you'd be getting those prices at wholesale. So I don't think that theory works. What I am confused about is this person bought 6 WWE SmackDown Women's Championships, but only 4 Raw ones. So I wonder what the reason is for that. What I am curious about is if that Daniel Bryan hemp belt is hitting the market, and it's going to be composed of, I'm assuming, recyclable goods, will it go for cheaper? Listeners, let me know. I'm curious.
There was some site that is like a replica belt site, but not WWE, and they already made one, and they're selling it for like $240 or something.
Yeah. Shit, let's go half, man. Fuck it. We'll go to this next one. It's from Nate. It's titled, "You Could Totally Do the Undertaker Rope Walk." Yeah, I know. Hey, boys. Hope all is well, and welcome back, Al. I hope you're enjoying that wild-ass Leatherface shirt. I was in Japan just a few weeks before, Al, and I have to agree, if you can splurge on an extra $40, it's totally worth it to watch wrestling in Korakuen Hall. My buddies and I ended up seeing a DDT show, and even though we don't know the first damn thing about DDT wrestling, it was wild. Anyway, I'll get to the point of this email. I am watching some old FMW videos, and there's a 6-man, no rope, barbed wire death match between Mr. Pogo, some stiff, and Jinsei Shinzaki versus Onita, Goto, and the Great Sasuke. The barbed wire ropes keep falling slack, and Sasuke gets tangled up. Mr. Pogo is stabbing people in the back with a cane, and then out of nowhere, Shinzaki does the praying rope walk along the barbed wire. All I'm saying is that if he can do that on some rickety-ass barbed wire ropes, I believe in you. And then he sends us a link to the match. Thank you so much, Nate. Yeah, I'm very confident that I could do that. Barbed wire, I don't know, man. Didn't Jinsei have the ninja shoes? I would think that the barbed wire would poke through, but maybe they weren't like completely thin ninja socks.
I think that shit's gimmicked a little. Not completely, but
Okay. Yeah, I can do both. I can do the barbed wire. I can do the rope. No problem. Very confident in this.
Next email's from George. Knows no subject. He says, "What's up, Virtual Bros? It's good to have you guys back in the saddle with the Wrestle Kingdom recap. I actually spent a lot of the holiday break at work filling all the holes for old episodes of Kissing Contest I had missed, which inspired me to write in and ask a question. Do you guys have any mole regrets over anything you might have said or proclaimed during the illustrious tenure of Virtual Pros? Maybe something you said back when the show first started that you thought would come true but didn't? Anyways, thanks for killing it, as always, and thanks as well for listening to my not-so-clever attempts at dropping references to Mike's other podcasts. Haha. Keep on trucking, Al. I see you, Border Boss. Get money, etc., etc., etc. George, a.k.a. Fiend Ambrose, a.k.a. Paystax Calhoun, aka the Bingo Warrior. As far as regrets, I don't really care about anything factual. I said I don't care if it's true or not. I don't, no one's ever going to check me on this, and I really don't care if they do. But yeah, I think those first 20 or so episodes are pretty rough with things I've said that I kind of regret just saying, because I don't know. There was definitely a different vibe with Kissing Contest where we had like some racy subject matter too that I won't get into, but because it would be like such a long story. But it didn't seem like it bothered anybody. But I think people who are into wrestling kind of, I don't know if I would say they're more confrontational or just more sensitive to stuff or something, but it's definitely a different vibe basically. And what worked on Kissing Contest didn't so much work on this show.
No, I can't take back anything. I think I did say I had the most impressive wing t-shirt collection, and weird flex, but okay. Like, no one cares about that. Maybe I could have taken that back, because who really gives a shit? Other than that, no real regrets. I know we were kind of hard on Bullet Club fans, but it's all jokes, man.
Yeah.
Some people did come at us in the DMs about that stuff, and at the end of the day, like, it's just all for fun. Like, I don't mean it out of spite or anything, it's just jokes.
Yeah, since I'm getting old, I'm becoming a real square peg in a round hole. And, I mean, it seems every week on Twitter now, somebody's like getting real bent out of shape about something I said. And I don't get it, man. It's the internet. Who cares? And I don't know. There's much more things to worry about than my opinions on wrestling to get like super bent out of shape about it. So
yeah, sure.
I don't know. Just chill out, guys.
Next up is from Tofu. What's up, Tofu? Titled Hair the Dog. How is it, Alan Mike? Long time no wine. So I'm a shallow motherfucker when it comes to my opinions on the progress. But Sonata's beard, it's ruining my entire life. I officially hate the most ungovernable boys because of that atrocity. Is this a joke? Is Sonata actively trying to limit his sex power level by growing the most neck-beardy monstrosity known to mankind? Is this like Piccolo's weighted clothes shit? What the fuck? It's almost been a year, and he's had that broom-ass rotten nonsense on his chin. Anyway, has the physical appearance / fashion choices of a wrestler put you off of a stable or an entire wrestling promotion for no reason at all? Aloha, Tofu, aka Mio Shirai, aka Tomohiro Easy-E, aka this is not an aka. I just want to shout out Chris Wolf and tell her congrats on her marriage. Oh, holy shit, someone just screamed upstairs. I think so. Yeah. I had to call fucking 911.
I thought that was a motorcycle going by.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm really worried right now. I think Sonata's facial hair is like, as an Asian man, look what I can do. I think that's all that is. And it makes me real jealous because I can only grow a goatee. So that's what I think it is. Like, he has this power to do something crazy, and he's doing it. Hopefully he shaves it soon. I think he's going to have a big year. And he would just look better with the trim up, I believe.
Whatever, like, it would be so crazy if there was like a serial killer in Al's apartment building right now. And Al dies talking about Sonata's beard hair.
That wouldn't be crazy at all. That'd be horrific.
This would be the highest rated podcast of all time once I uploaded it. Oh my god.
Fucking from pro wrestling podcast and murder podcast.
Yeah, true crime podcast. That's where I love when he is. I think Sonata's beard is like, so when I started watching New Japan again, I really noticed that everybody's hair was kind of wild. Yeah. But it doesn't seem wild anymore because I'm used to it. But that's kind of how a lot of Japanese wrestlers are. So I think Sonata's just taken it to the next level and testing out how wild he can get with his beard and see if maybe others follow or, I don't know. But that's the only thing I can think of because it can't be because he thinks it looks good because it looks real weird.
I bet if like some Japanese dude in New Japan like had the genetics to grow like body hair like Miguel Perez, they would fucking totally do it. That's what I think that is. But no one can, so we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, as far as fashion choices that have put me off, I can't really think of anything offhand. It's really, I still like Chris Jericho as a wrestler, but it's really tough these days because of the way he looks. But it's really tough right now. But I don't know what else he would do to look different at this point, though. I don't think he can't get into his old gear. That would look even weirder. So
I think it's been like the other way for me. Like when Batista would come out with like his like triple polos and True Religions, I was like, this is like, I used to not like Batista, and then he pulled that shit off, and I was like, Batista is now my favorite wrestler. That shit is so tight.
I kind of hated it when it was happening, and then I heard that he like demanded to dress himself, and I was just like, that's so cool. Like he was like, I want to look like this. I want to look like an asshole. And it was great.
Yep.
Next email's from Daniel. It's called Onoda. Hey guys, happy to have you back. My fortnights have felt emptier without Super Dolphin jokes. I was watching the New Japan Sapporo show the other day and noticed the ring posts where sponsors are represented mentioned something called Onoda Clinic. Clinic. Confused, I came across their Twitter, and I guess that they handle some home medical services. And as I write, their most recent tweet is about protection from hay fever. It's weird to think about your ad for medical services acting as the support for two guys to suplex each other on the top rope, but okay then. This odd thing had me pondering, what are your favorite weird wrestling sponsors? Not Sega Saturn, All Japan, Cool But For Geeks, or Sonic WWE. Well, I guess they're both trash. Weird sponsors. Finally, please talk about Taka Michinoku getting caught thoughtin' and leaving Kai and Tai Dojo. I never thought you could smash on the side with gelled up hair like that, but what do I know? Thumbs up as always. Can't wait to hear your best of 2018. Daniel, a.k.a. Rockefeller Romero, a.k.a. Young Suzuki Guns, a.k.a. New Year Dame Dash. Well, I kind of take note of WWE Raw sponsors because I think they're fucking wild. Like, for that Royal Rumble, they had Post Super Golden Crisp, which, Daniel, I know you're from the UK, so I don't think you're familiar with that cereal, but it was legitimately a cereal I think everybody thought stopped existing in like 1991. I saw that logo and I was just like, is that real? Like, that can't be real. And I had to Google it, and for sure that cereal is still around. So there was that. There was also, of course, the legendary like Raid fucking roach trap sponsor for WWE Raw once, which was weird seeing that in the corner the whole time and trying to sell that off. So that was bad. I can't remember what Mexican promotion it was, but we talked about it on the mixtape like a couple years ago. I think it was CMLL, and they used to have those clarets, like signage going all the way through their ramps and all around their ring aprons and stuff. And clarets is just like a cough drop. I thought that stopped existing in like 1990, but it still exists in Mexico. So those are probably my top ones.
It's not wrestling, but like I always took note of UFC being sponsored by like Lumber Liquidators.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I guess a lot of like Craftsman watch fighting. I can see the appeal or the crossover. Also Condom Depot, I think it was called back in the day.
Dude, that was honestly the last straw with UFC for me. Once they switched to the uniforms and like the sponsors became more uniform, it just got a lot less fun.
Yeah. Wrestling wise, there's only one answer, and that's BVD.
Yeah.
Like, what a really, I don't know, I guess like wrestlers wear underwear and so do people. I can see the crossover there, but BVD always stuck out to me. I always like those rings. I can't think of anything else, even though there's probably a ton in the Japanese wrestling world. In terms of Taka getting caught up, I'm not surprised. Any person who has carried their haircut from 1993 until now is up to no good. And it was no shock to me. I did see, though, that he's open to getting on that airplane and participating in some indie weirdness in America. I'm pretty excited about that.
Supposedly he's retiring soon, I think. So yeah, he wants to get down in the US. So hopefully that happens.
I'd go. One more email.
I think it's you, or is it me? No, it's you.
Oh, you're right. Last email of the night is from Alberto, titled Getting Asses in the Seats. Hey, Al and Mike. With WWE's recent increase in product quality, with shows being interesting and fun again, mainly due to, with all due respect to the man, superstars like Lashley and EC3 putting their best asses forward, and Vince finally uttering, there's a whole lot of beef in the ring. Who do you guys foresee being the new king of butts? This is totally not a witch hunt into who you guys think is really a squat master, but who could admit to having a donk and riding that gimmick to the moon. Cheers, Bert, aka Big Dick Togo, aka Ravishing Dick Dude, aka Puta Sierra Mierda, aka Bull No Cocaino. P.S. Thanks again for the shirts and for that extra TSJ sticker. It motivated me to finally watch Tour de Pharmacy, And I can honestly say that the scene with John Cena, or the scene where John Cena is less than 3 inches away from getting a face full of that dude's garbage, is the most tension I've ever seen or I've ever felt in a Cena match. King of Asses right now has to be Okada, man. That dude has a wagon. That dropkick is high for a reason. He went back to the shorts, and it's a good move, man. That dude has an awning. So my vote is for Okada, no doubt about it.
My vote is for somebody I'm probably going to talk about again in a little while, but it's Sonny Kiss, who definitely has the best ass in the business.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I would definitely go with him hands down. As far as that sticker he's talking about, I just wanted to point out, if you guys have never ordered anything from Thrift Store Jobber, he has a sticker that is a screenshot of John Cena in this movie called Tour de Pharmacy, which I know a lot of people haven't seen. It was like a made for HBO movie, kind of like a mockumentary. And John Cena plays like a cyclist, like a Tour de France cyclist that's on steroids, and he has like this like Dutch wig, like this little Dutch boy wig on, and there's a scene where he's just like holding a guy in like a backbreaker position, and the guy's naked, so his dick is like 2 inches away from John Cena's face. And Thrift Store Jobber made stickers of these, which I think it's a fucking great sticker. So when I see one laying around my house, I'll just put it in order. And I guess even Brian, Thrift Store Jobber, told me there's some people that like emailed him back. I was like, yo, don't send me that shit. Which is like, how homophobic, how scared of gay people do you have to be like, yo, I don't want no sticker with dicks on it. Like, it's just fucking ridiculous. So I'm glad Bert liked it. I'm glad Bert wasn't one of those people.
Thanks a lot, Bert, for not being a homophobe, man. Good looks, dude. Appreciate you. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. 2-man scramble time, Mike. I got some shit. First bullet point to my Vert Bag universe. We're teaming up with the illustrious artist Drug Dogs. He did our 95 till infinity tee for a 12th legendary entry into the Virtual Pros merch catalog. Mike and I are going to be celebrating a tournament that's near and dear to both of our hearts. So please set aside some coin for, I'm guessing, a late March or early April release. Please stay tuned for that. Anything to add?
No, I'm very excited about this. As Al said, it's definitely a paying homage to a thing that's pretty much the only reason I'm doing this podcast still. So,
Ditto, man. Second off, we're fresh off of watching it. What'd you think of the AEW Double or Nothing press conference?
I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped for both serious and kind of ironic comedic reasons. And they're definitely building up a roster that would appeal to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people on the internet. So that's really cool, but I just don't know how it's going to be pulled off on a major level. Like, they've still not announced a TV deal. The long-standing rumor has been that they're going to be on some kind of Turner channel like TBS or TNT. And I think if they're on something like that, they're going to dump some money into it. It's going to look pretty good. But I'm still afraid that Turner's going to be like, oh, well, we're starting a new streaming service, so we'll just put you on that. And then it's just going to look like how All In looked. And that I'm pretty worried about. But they're really building up a roster that could appeal to all kinds of internet people. And I don't know if that's a great business move per se, but it should definitely make for at least a few good shows. I already saw people on Twitter like just grasping at straws to hate on this, which is kind of incredible because they're just booking and signing all of these people that everybody love. So it's really crazy to go out of your way to be like, oh, this is stupid. And it's like, I guess, man, why are you even watching wrestling at this point? But I'm all for it. I'm hoping it succeeds. Like I said, I'm worried about the cable situation, and even if they get on a good channel and they end up at like on Saturdays at like 1 a.m. or something. But outside of that, I think the shows are going to be good.
Yeah, this upcoming shows, it has my interest. Like any roster that has Joey Janela and Aja Kong on it, I'm like, all right, I'm into this. Yuka Sakazaki, fucking Vert Bag universe out here. I see you. The press conference was okay. Like I thought the Lucha Bros fucking up the Young Bucks on the stage was pretty sweet. What I didn't think was sweet was Dude's chanting "Holy shit" at Kylie Ray because she was wearing a dress. That was real embarrassing. I didn't like that at all one bit. I was like, man, if a coworker that caught me watching this, I would have to put in my 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm interested. I do like the idea of these shows being in these cities where you can do other shit. That's why partly the reason why I'm not going to WrestleMania, because New Jersey, I don't know, not for me. But yeah, May. Is it May or June that this show's happening? I think it's May.
It's May 25th. It's that like Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day, whatever one of those holidays falls in May.
Yeah, man. Maybe. Get it? Maybe I'll see you guys there. Next up, you have any good gambling tales from your Royal Rumble pools?
No, not really. It was kind of figured out ahead of time that, Seth Rollins was probably going to win, and that what's-her-face was probably going to win the Rumble somehow, Becky. And so there wasn't anything that crazy. I didn't win any money. And I was in a couple pools. The other pool was a complete wash. I think I just had complete scrubs in that one. I think at least in the Rumble pool, I had Samoa Joe, and I was like, maybe they'll pull a curveball and get Samoa Joe in there and have him win the Rumble. But outside of that, nothing crazy.
Yeah, for me, there was like no intrigue. I think everyone kind of just figured that it'd be Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch winning both of their respective Rumbles. And so once those people were called and those numbers weren't for me, I was like, man, fuck this. So it wasn't that fun.
That Becky Lynch shit was stupid, though. That should be a wash. You shouldn't win any money on that because that's technically Lana's spot. So
that was my argument, man. I'll take you to small claims court. Carr, I know you're listening, motherfucker. No, he has my money. It's all good. My last bullet point, my last two-man scramble topic of the night. So in the month of February, you and we saw some pretty interesting merchandise made available by some pretty prominent female wrestlers. One was selling photos of her morning bowel movement. While I believe like a couple of other women wrestlers, they were selling Valentine's Day cards to fans. Like, yep. Okay, I don't give a shit about how people spend their money. I'm about to buy this bookcase from CB2. Some may say it's extravagant, but I don't give a fuck. It's kind of like that. But Mike, here's my question. Say you were at like a doctor's office, right? And like the only thing you had to read was like a medical journal. And there were 2 case studies, each about the people that made these individual purchases. Which article are you reading first? The article about the person buying the photos or the person buying Valentine's Day cards for themselves?
You mean the shit photos, correct?
Yeah.
I would go for the Valentine's Day cards, I think. The shit photos, I think she started as kind of like, I'm kidding, but not really, like playing it off like, I'm kind of sarcastically making the statement that I could sell photos of my shit. And of course, perverts are still going to buy those, like no doubt. And I don't think that's as interesting. I think the interest in loneliness of buying a Valentine's Day card from a stranger is on a whole other level of depression for me. I think shit is disgusting, and I don't even like talking about it. But I know that exists out there. There's perverts out there, but the perverts of loneliness, I guess you would call them, is a way more interesting case study to me. It's just like on another level where you want to feel loved as opposed to wanting to get some kind of sexual gratification, and wanting to feel loved and not feeling that is one of the saddest things on earth. So I think that would make a great case study. Sorry for anybody out there who may have bought a Valentine's Day card from an anonymous woman wrestler, but
Yeah, same thing. I've been on the internet since I was 11. Like, dudes cranking it to poop. That's like fucking level 1 of like weirdness. Like, that happens. People buying like, hey, hope you're my Valentine this year. Like, completely insincere. Like, you just PayPal me $20 and here's the reason why I'm sending you this. That's way more interesting to me. So I would definitely read that article all day over the dude that wanted to see some poop. That was the last topic I had.
Okay, I just have a couple road reports. I think our main segment might go a little long, so I'll keep these very brief. But over the past 2 weeks, I went to wrestling twice in two different weeks in the same building for 2 different promotions. The first one was, of course, AAW, which, pretty regularly runs out of Logan Square Auditorium. and that's right around where I live. And so I went to that, and it was ACH and Trevor Lee's final shows with the promotion, because they are, I guess, going to NXT. I don't know if it's ever been officially announced, but they are on their ways to NXT. So it was cool seeing that. It was cool seeing like their farewell speeches and seeing men cry, like, you know, the wrestlers, not people in the audience. Maybe people in the audience cried. I don't know. I wasn't watching that close, but so it was cool seeing those kind of like special moments that you don't get to really see on television and stuff like that. Outside of that, the show was good. Lucha Brothers wrestled LAX. That was pretty cool to see. You know, there wasn't really no faults in the wrestling or anything. So I just wanted to point out a couple of non-wrestling things that kind of happened there. The first one was I saw two guys too sweet each other, which isn't weird because people do that all the time.
Yeah.
But it was the way they did it. They did it. I don't even know how to explain this. They did it in kind of a way where if you've been going out with your girlfriend for a long time, or you've just lived together for a long time, like the way you kiss them goodbye, where it's just kind of like a thing you do, where there's like nothing to it. It's just like a movement you do. And you don't even like acknowledge it anymore. You just kiss each other goodbye because that's what you do. That's how these guys did it too sweet. It was just kind of like they were like looking different ways, and they looked at each other and they too sweeted and just like didn't acknowledge it, and just like that was it, like no emotion at all. And I was just like, whoa, that was pretty fucking cool. Like cool, not in a good way, but just like, man, they weren't like spazzes about it. They just like nonchalantly too sweeted each other. So I was really astounded by that. I looked all around to see if anybody else saw it, but I was unfortunately the only person that I guess noticed this very just, you know, I don't know, this very nonchalant, too sweet. So that, I guess that's the level of too sweeting now, where it's just become a regular everyday part of these people's lives where they can just do it like it's just a reflex at this point. Besides that, there were two women that attended the show that cosplayed as the two main characters in Glow. And, you know, we got the vibe, me and JB and Brady that went, and Vinny, we got the vibe that they probably don't attend wrestling all the time. So it's kind of like, oh shit, we're going to wrestling. Let's dress up like wrestlers, like kind of that deal. And I think that was true, but basically we were in the balcony, and they at some point they like just randomly wandered up into the balcony, and they're like standing right behind us somehow. I don't know how it happened. And I heard them like heckling, and I could just tell they were like shithouse drunk. So I turn around and start talking to them, and I'm like talking to them about their costumes and stuff like that. And it's one of the girl who dressed like the Russian woman whose name is escaping me. It was her birthday, and she was really shit faced. So of course, because I'm a real jerk, I offered to buy them drinks, because I was just like, if anything like out of the ordinary is going to happen at this wrestling, it's going to be these two women that start it. So I was just like, if I got to get them drunker to see like what happens if they try and wrestle somebody or do something. So I bought them more drinks, and then they kind of wandered off. And then at some point, the ring announcer acknowledged that it was her birthday. Yeah. So they weren't as big troublemakers as I was hoping they were. So that was kind of a waste of money on my part. It was a bad investment, but I was like, man, these girls are riled up. They're going to fucking jump in the ring in their costumes. This is going to be great. And I'm going to be a proponent of this. I am all about this. But it didn't happen. It never happened. But even besides that, it was a great show. Eddie Kingston gave like a great like farewell speech at the end. I don't know. It was fucking good. If you get a chance to catch that on video, or however people watch wrestling, just watch it. The next week, I went to AEW, and this is a much sadder trip. Or not AEW, what the fuck am I saying? I went to Freelance Wrestling. This is a much sadder trip. This was also at Logan Square Auditorium. This was the following week. And I went, not only did I go by myself, but I also sat in the front row by myself.
Holy shit.
Because the thing is, no one ever wants to sit in the front row with me for AAW. Everybody refuses. It's either too much money for them, or my girlfriend is not into sitting in the front row. She doesn't want to get squashed by somebody. So it's just, it's an impossible dream of mine to achieve, to finally sit in the front row of Logan Square Auditorium. And so I figured Freelance Wrestling is the perfect chance. It's cheap. The front row is not sold out a week out. It's it's still available. So fuck it. I'm going to do it, even though this is a weird creep thing to do, to go to wrestling by yourself and sit in the front row, but fuck it. So I went there. I talked about I keep saying AEW. I talked about Freelance, like, I think one of the first episodes when I lived here, because I went, and they use like their own lighting rig that they bring, and it's got to stop Freelance wrestling. Like, I guess it looks better on tape or whatever, but it's just, when you sit in one of the road seats, it's just like in your face the whole time, and it kind of sucks. But I basically went to go see Sonny Kiss, and he did not disappoint. He was pretty good. That was fun to see. I don't really have any sad stories as I was hoping I might have from sitting in the front row alone. I kind of like bounced, like with the couple matches left, because again, Freelance also starts pretty late, and I'm an old man, and it was like 11:30, and I was like, do I really need to see the last two matches? Is that going to really make my quality of life any better? I saw Kobe Durst, who was a guy who was mentioned on an early episode of Vrtl Pros and then never brought up again. He did a dangerous move where he gave somebody a pile driver, like jumping backwards off of a stage. And I was like, that guy is fucking dead. But he was alive though. Outside of that, it was a decent time. I don't think Freelance is something I would go to all the time. Honestly, just because I'm a fucking big baby and those lights kill me. But, the crowd seemed like pretty hyped, and that's cool. And it seems like something that could be like the Chicago version of AIW to me. AIW in Cleveland, not AAW in Chicago, cause it seems, Freelance books a lot of people I've never heard of, and not in a shitty way where I'm just like, these guys are bums, cause it's just like they're on some other realm of the internet than I am, where I don't ever see tweets or anything by these wrestlers. So it's just kind of like going to see a bunch of dudes that, and they don't have like talking segments or anything. So it's basically like a bunch of dudes who I have no idea who they are. And then like some other wrestlers who I kind of know who they are. So it's not really like anything I could get super pumped about. But the people there are pumped. So I assume they're just either just really love wrestling, or they just go every fucking month and they know everybody. But the comparison to AIW in Cleveland is they use like a lot of their own students too. So maybe that's what Freelance does, and I just don't get it, because at least I see the AIW guys on the internet and shit like that. But either way, it was fun. But I'm glad I got to sit in the front row of Logan Square Auditorium at least once. I would prefer not to do it alone again, but I did it. And I'll probably go back to Freelance every once in a while when they have somebody cool, but I don't think it's going to be like my every month thing or anything like that.
That was Friday, right? Last Friday? Am I mistaken?
Yeah.
Dude, what was up? Was there like a full moon? Because that was a lonely boy Friday for me too, man. I got like a fucking table for one at Umami Burger. Just went home, took a nap. Shit was mad sad. Thought about going to the casino alone. There was a vibe in the air. I don't know. Lonely bros. The
same night, Brian, the thrift store jobber, went to the New Japan in Charlotte by himself.
Holy shit!
And he doesn't even live to Charlotte, so he was basically like visiting Charlotte and going to New Japan by himself.
That's wild as hell, man. Last Friday was sad. This reminds me though, Bay Area listeners, I kind of want to go see Jun Akiyama next month in SF, and my main road dog, Joel to Sleep, is on the other side of the planet. So I don't know who to go with. If you're interested, let me know. VrtlPro64@gmail.com. You ready for these awards, Mike?
Yes, I am ready.
For sure. Today's topic, the 2018 year-end awards. Listen to Al and Mike bless a chosen few with the VRTL seal of approval. Please stay tuned.
Time for our first excursion into the Thursday night feature LP. You listen to the album, you'll find it just jammed with talent, starting with producer
Trackademics
from Quiet Storm, KBLX.
Put it in drive, I'll be outside, I'll be on the way. I'll be on the way, and you can meet me in 5. I'll be on 9, I'll be all day. I'll be all day. Put it in drive, I'll be outside, I'll be on the way. I'll be on the way, and you can meet me in 5. I'll be on 9, I'll be all day. I'll be all day. It's the type of shit that you've been waiting all year for. I'm making time for a minute. Got a lot of time, I'll just need somewhere to spend it. I'll just press a button in the top, go missing. I got the slips, so you know it's not me. know I've been beating your mind. No fear, but you gotta let me know. I'm all ears and I got a lot of room. My way, if you wanna check it there.
Okay, we are back here on Virtual Pros episode 80, and this is the very belated year-end awards for 2018. We took a little break in January, and we had to do the Wrestle Kingdom review, so we did not get to these awards, but, you know, people love year-end shit, so here you go. Probably the last one you'll hear until the end of 2019. And if you guys have never listened to one of these shows before, we have our own little awards that we made up, so I will explain them as best I can as I read them. And me and Al are just going to alternate. We didn't pick a uniform answer. We both have our own answers. Although I'm sure a little, at least some of ours probably match up. But either way, the first award for the 2018 year-end awards is the Bobby Heenan Memorial Award for Best Non-Wrestler. It's pretty self-explanatory. Who do you think was the best non-wrestler in the wrestling business this year? Mine's kind of weak. This is a category I really love. I think non-wrestlers are very important in the realm of wrestling. And I'm kind of upset I didn't have any like strong answer for this year, but I gave it to Drake Maverick pretty much alone on shoot peeing his pants on a pay-per-view. That is beyond the Call of Duty, Drake. You deserve an award for that, and I'm giving you one. I know you're technically a wrestler, but I don't think you ever wrestle on TV anymore. You're just kind of an authority figure and a manager sometimes. And you really deserve credit for shoot peeing your pants, and that's how much you love this business. So the award is all yours, Drake Maverick. What did you have, Al?
I think I have a pretty strong entry. This is like a Lifetime Achievement Award. And this is going to fucking Bahu FMW, aka Brett. He stepped his whole game up. He started adding like photos to his like FMW podcasts. And that's all out of love. Like, and so this is my recognition to you, Bahu. You deserve it. You are my favorite non-wrestler of 2018. You're doing God's work out here. You're just dropping knowledge. You're sharing your knowledge. And I salute you personally. I think a lot of people do. Next up is the Vrtl Autograph Line Award. I think if you're listening to Virtual Pros, you're very aware of the photo that exists of Vrtl at an autograph table alone. So this is for the Saddest Wrestler Award. I kind of got it mixed up a little bit. In my head, I was like, this is for the saddest, wrestler, or the saddest, like, social media presence for an online wrestler. And probably it should be Will Ospreay, because, like, that's probably the last person I would hire to do, like, my social media managing for, like, an app I was going to launch or something. But I was reminded the other day that this person, the winner, Matt Stryker, he spells his name on Twitter, M, and then the @ sign. And he thought that was so hot. And that makes me so fucking mad. So he's getting this award, the Vrtl Autograph Line Award. Matt Stryker. I'm so mad. Who do you have, Mike?
So there's somebody running away with it for me, and this doesn't count because it happened in 2019 after this, but he just buried himself even more in my eyes last night. Yeah. But it is, of course, Austin Aries. I don't know what the deal is with this dude. I don't know if it's an act. I don't think you could be that much of a kind of a dingus and think it was an act. And that dude just gets clowned by normal people all day for giving somebody a promise ring. And I don't even care. I think that's funny, but it's not my number one punchline for Austin Aries, but he just seems like a dingus outside of the promise ring thing. And last night he got into it with Sami Callihan, who is not my favorite. But at one point, he's just said, "Kiss my ass, Dan," to him, because I guess his real name is Dan. And I laughed over that for so long. And then Austin Aries like tweeted back like he won the war for that, and because Sammy used his shoot name. And I was just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, there was that point in TNA where he got up and left the ring, like right after Johnny Mundo pinned him, and people were like, "Is it a shoot? Was that real?" And no one, I don't think anybody still knows if it was real. Which I guess good for you, man. You're keeping the kayfabe alive. But if it was real, you're just a dick. that's very sad. So Austin Aries, you ran away with this one, and possibly for 2019 too. You might be a first repeat winner. So keep it going. The next award is the Sabu Early Funeral Award. This is usually given to either the craziest daredevil high flyer or just basically the person with the biggest death wish in wrestling in 2018. I had a few people in mind for this. One strong contender was PCO, but that dude's like 50 something, so he could do whatever he wants. He's not having an early funeral. He's beyond that point. He's in his twilight years, so I couldn't consciously give it to him. So I went with I don't know. It's, I guess a common answer, but I went with Masashi Takeda. That guy, I got to see him. I saw him in real life a couple years ago when he was in the Nick Gage tournament a couple years ago, but he like lost in the first round and that was it. And he kind of blew up this year, and I got to see him again this year, and he got to really go off. And that guy definitely has a death wish. It's to the point where it doesn't even look like anything hurts him. So that probably means it hurts the most, and he's hiding it really well. But yeah, that guy, I fear for him. So I'm giving it to him this year.
For me, I don't mean to be an edgelord. It really should be fucking the time bomb, Hiromu Takahashi.
Yeah.
But we all know what happened. Sidebar, that calendar he released is incredible. The art in that thing, like, it's worth your $14. I'm gonna go back to back here. Will Ospreay, dude's a maniac. I feel like I saw him just land on the crown of his head so many times. I think he broke his toe recently, which is like a weird injury, seeing what he does in the ring. But
yeah,
I gotta go back to back. Will, you're crazy. The next award is the White Guy in Panties Award. This is for the best technical wrestler in wrestling. I have some honorable mentions. I think Shayna Baszler, I'm going to shout her out. It might be a technicality. She got to wrestle Kairi Sane for, I feel like, 18 years. And Kairi Sane is like the new Shinjiro Otani. So like any hold that's like applied to her, I think for real hurts. Although like your foot stomp thing, like your fear of that, whatever Shayna does with like her like setting up that elbow to stomp on it, I think someone's getting their arm broke for real. So that move really scares me. Jonathan Gresham, from what I've seen, like that guy doesn't mess up.
No.
That dude like makes everything look picture perfect. He's like that guy in the window when you're like creating a wrestler where he's like showing you how moves look. Yeah. That's that guy. Like it's just perfect every time. So I got to shout out Jonathan Gresham. But kind of the same way with Will Ospreay. I think it's the third time. ZSJ, he's just fucking tapping everyone out with his honestly cheating style of wrestling. In the UFC, they don't allow fucking small joint manipulation, and he's out here bending fingers. It's actually not fair, but I guess that makes him the best technical wrestler. So ZSJ, you're my winner this year.
For the fourth time in a row for me too. It's Zack Sabre Jr., of course. This is the first year I think he really deserves it, and it's less of a punchline than it has been in the last few years. He's really made this style like vicious with his dickhead attitude, and it's like fun to watch. So I think he was just head and shoulders above everybody this year for this award. Next award is the Mr. Pogo Memorial Award. This is for the best brawler, the best kind of deathmatchy brawler kind of guy, like Mr. Pogo. And again, there's a few people I could consider for this. Again, PCO. Alex Colon, who's kind of like not a household name or anything, and I went with the obvious. I think with Nick Gage, because this guy has kind of blown up this year, and he's fighting all over the country doing this kind of just like brawly deathmatch shit, which is not really a thing that's happened in the past. If you're a deathmatch guy, that's all you're gonna ever do, and you're gonna be sequestered into the handful of deathmatch promotions across the country. But this dude is all over the place, wrestling everywhere, basically everywhere except PWG. And he's Nick Gage. He does brawling style. So, you'd have to give it to him just for the notoriety he's done with this.
Ditto. Nick Gage, Mr. Pogo Award 2018. That dude, there's an aura about him for sure. Like he definitely put some fear into some people's hearts.
Yeah.
How could it not be him, man? He fucking cut David Arquette with the pizza cutter in the mouth.
Yep.
That has to win you something. I'm sorry. we're in agreement here. Nick Gage, you're the winner. Next up is the Stump Meltzer Award. I believe this award is for the dumbest argument a fan has got at Dave about. Correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Mine is not technically an argument, but it's something that somebody's gotten Dave about. That's for sure.
This took me an hour to figure out, and what I came to the conclusion of is that all of the good arguments happened in 2017, like baseball is less popular than wrestling, or Ric Flair is a pop icon. That didn't happen last year. So I have to punt because I feel like there was an episode of Observer Radio where Dave, he was like speculating on whether or not Shawn Michaels glued his hat onto his head at Crown Jewel because it wasn't moving. And no one came at him about that. No one did some glue truthing. So since that didn't happen, I honestly, wholeheartedly can't give an award to anybody this year. It just didn't happen.
No award for Al. That's fair.
Yeah.
And again, mine isn't completely a stumper, but people definitely came at Dave Meltzer for this. And this was for when everybody tried to pin Dave Meltzer as the hugest woman hater in the history of the world. Because on one of his shows, he basically described Bailey as as somebody would describe it. That's a 60-year-old man that is not really in touch with how 25-year-olds think. And it's not like he wasn't like, oh, Bailey's a heifer or anything like that. He just, he said, I don't even remember. He said something about she used to be hotter or something like that. And then people tried to go through CIA documents on Dave Meltzer and try and find every single instance where he hated on a woman in his whole entire life. And it was just damn, you can just say you hate somebody and not have not try and bury them and not give or not really dig for a reason. It's okay. You can just say, I don't like that guy and move on with your life. But it was people were really trying to justify why they don't like him with this shit. And they were digging up that story about when he mushed a banana in his girlfriend's head fucking 25 years ago. And how he told the story with glee or something because he was laughing the whole time because people, I don't know, I'm not going to get into it, but the way he tells that story, that old ass story, it seems like his girlfriend was pretty cool with it too. They're still friends to this day and shit like that. So it just seems like people were really witch hunting on him. And he had to go on Observer Radio the next day and give a half-hour explanation and apology, and it was real awkward to listen to. So, I would say people went above and beyond of stumping Meltzer because they got a half-hour apology out of him, so they kind of won that round. So that's the clear-on winner for me because they really stumped him for real.
Yeah, that was a crazy episode.
The next award is PayPal presents the best merch of 2018. It's pretty self-explanatory. The best merch that we thought we saw in 2018, and this is surprisingly because there's fucking tons, millions of merch out there. It's a repeat for me. I'm gonna go with Jun Kasai once again. He released this shirt. There's a Twitter we follow called Dusk or Die, and I don't know. I guess they're the people who make a lot of these shirts because that's usually where they're posted at. So I think they made this shirt, and it was a Deathmatch Carnival shirt, and it was done in the style of maybe an old Tales from the Crypt comic of Jun Kasai rising out of the grave. And I don't know the technical term for the printing style that's used or the way it is, but it's kind of just he's two-toned. His shadow is one tone, his shadow is a bluish green, and the rest of his body's this kind of pink color. And just the way that's printed, I want to rip that off so badly. Not so much the rest of the shirt, but just the way it looks on that shirt is just so mesmerizing to me. That shirt is fucking amazing, and it's definitely the best shirt I saw all last year, so it's an easy one for me.
For me, some honorable mentions. The LIJ, Sonata, and Evil tag team shirt. I think the colors on that tee are fucking incredible. They also did a tracksuit, which I think is pretty cozy. I'm going to break that out tomorrow at work because my boss isn't going to come in. So I'll be LIJ'd out. EMS boys in the building. I thought that Hayabusa Periwinkle long sleeve might have been the best fan merch shirt of 2018. But I think the New Japan and New Era collaboration personally took the cake for me. I think the Lion Mark fitted, the New Japan blue fitted, and Los Ingobernables, and they did the fitted with like a kind of like a shiny silver threading that really pops off. They killed that capsule, so gotta give Shin Nihon their props. They did their thing with that collaboration with New Era. Next up, the other side of this, the direct to trash worst merchandise of 2018. Self-explanatory. It has to be the Bullet Club faux leather jacket. It looks more like a shirt. Like, this had to have sold like 5 units. Like, there's no way anyone wore this out. It is horrific. No, never in my life would I wear this. What'd you have?
So there was obviously a lot of contenders for this one. There's so much bad merch being made by WWE alone. WWE went above and beyond this year, just pumping it out, so much of it. And it's shocking that they did not somehow win this award because of so many bad shirts they came out with this year. But I gave it to the shirt I probably think about maybe once a week because it bothered me so much. And it is the Death Row ripoff of all the fat old man podcasts, like the Tony Schiavone and Bruce Pritchard, and they're in that Death Row Vibe magazine pose, and like somebody photoshopped them in that thing, and it is. I would give this the Lifetime Award. I think I don't think there's anything that's ever going to be made that bothers me more than this shirt. I don't think those. Like those, I know a lot of people listen to those podcasts. More people are going to listen to those podcasts than ever. Like, people listen to that one episode of those podcasts more than like all of our listens probably combined because so many people listen to it. But it's just fat old men talking about like fat old man shit. And they make this Death Row ripoff shirt, and it's just like so awkward and cringy. Just make a shirt that says the name of your fucking podcast on it. Like, just I don't think I guess the people who do like these podcasts think that's a cool shirt. I don't fucking know. I would really be interested in see how many they sold because I don't know anybody in their right mind who love those podcasts who would also love that shirt. And it's just horrible looking and it's sad and it's brought me much pain and I just think about it too often. So that's it for me. The next award is the Vader Memorial, actually. The Vader Memorial.
Shit, R.I.P. Vader. Fuck.
Yeah. Social Media Strategist Award. This is for the best social media presence. I kind of made up this award specifically to give it to people with like funny social media and Twitters, but I went the opposite route this year and actually have a serious response. And it is basically the entire GCW crew. That includes like GCW, their Twitter and Instagram, Joey Janela, whoever does the Nick Gage, whoever does the Nick Gage Twitter, Brett, Giancarlo, who now works for WWE, but was doing their videos up until like halfway through the year. All those dudes made like this promotion that is like, you would not expect this promotion to be the hot new promotion because they're primarily known as like a death match promotion, but they work their magic. They book like these dream cards all over the country now. And I think a lot of that has to do with their social media and the people who are doing their social media, basically. So, this is a way too serious answer for this show, but I had to tip my hat to them.
That's a super good answer, actually. For me, not as strong, but I do fuck with this guy's Instagram, and that's Ultimo Dragon. Because all that guy does is go to Mexico, wear underwear by the beach, hang out with his fucking best friend Jun Akiyama, and smoke cigars. And that dude gives me like the ultimate wanderlust. All I want to do is travel and hang out with my friends. So that dude is like for real. He's doing it out here, man. He seems like he's so rich.
Yeah.
And I respect that. The next award is the 2018 Rusev Horns. This is for the best new theme, wrestling wise. This is a tie. I'm gonna go co-MVPs here. This counts. Chris Jericho, Judas, Fozzy. That shit fucking bangs in the Tokyo Dome, so I'm going with that. It's gonna share this award with Bianca Belair's Watch Me Shine. That song's like a total earworm, and I think it's like a perfect fit for the EST of NXT. It just works out. So these are my two favorite themes of 2018.
Mine is kind of a cop-out. It's a kind of a punt, if you will. There were no actual new themes that stuck out for me this year. I kind of stopped watching NXT every single episode, and I kind of just dip in every once in a while now. So I basically don't get to hear these themes repeated in my head over and over again. And so my answer is, again, a cop-out. It's All Night Long that Rich Swann uses, because that disappeared for a little while when he went to WWE, and now he's back on the independents, and he uses All Night Long again. And I always thought that's what was missing when he was in WWE. So it's new for 2018, and technically it's new again. So I'm going to go with All Night Long and Rich Swann. Sorry for such a shitty answer.
Sidebar, are you shocked that Kenny Omega's theme, when he came out at today's press conference, wasn't like some kind of chiptune Mega Man shit? Yes or no?
Dude, I'm thinking all the music they use for that has to be like placeholder music. If they're going to be on TV, they can't use that fucking music anymore, man. It's so bad. They got to have real music. They can't just let that dude, the Young Bucks dad, just do all the music. They have to hire like real people if they're going to be a real wrestling promotion. Next award is the 2000, my most hated award. It's 2018's. We called it Wrestler to Watch in 2019. This is the award I famously always botch. Last year, I purposely chose somebody that I was like, this guy is right in the middle, so it doesn't matter. I can't be that wrong and I can't be that right. I picked David Starr, and he's kind of just been on the same wavelength since then. So I was not wrong and I was not right. So that's basically a win in my book, because I always whiff this one. This year, if I said this when, if we actually recorded this at the end of 2018, this would seem like a big win, because my answer is MJF, but he's since been signed to AEW. So right there, I already won. And then I was going to say, oh, fuck it, I'll give it to Sammy Guevara then, but he just got signed today. So it's mostly MJF. I thought that all last year, that this guy's going to fucking blow up. He's very young and he's very good at what he does. He's not, he's not the next Kenny Omega or anything like that. But as far as like the actual sports entertainment of wrestling, this dude's like beyond his years. So, easily give it to him.
2 years ago, I knocked it out of the fucking park, and I picked Chihiro Hashimoto and Cien Almas, and they went on to like run those years. And then last year, I picked Jiro Kurashio, and then that dude tore his ACL, and I was like, "Fuck, that mic rubbed off on me." So I'm gonna hedge my bets here, and I'm gonna go Hazuki. She's starting to do some shooting star presses, even though she's landing on her head. She's wearing tiger camo. She has like that Gucci Man thing where like, I'm not even sure if that's old Hazuki. So I don't know, man, but I think she's due for a big year. So my answer here is Suzuki. Next up, nitty gritty. Best live match of 2018. Self-explanatory. Matches that we saw live. Man, I saw some shit last year, Mike. I got some honorable mentions. Young Bucks versus Golden Lovers, March 25, New Japan. That was crazy. Asuka Charlotte at WrestleMania was really good. I saw that a 6-man ladder match at TakeOver New Orleans. And I also saw Nick Gage and David Arquette at GCW.
Yeah,
and that was nuts.
A good one. Yeah.
But I'm going to get some shit for this, but I don't care, because this might have been the most hype I've ever been for a wrestling match. And that's Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, WrestleMania 34. Ask anyone that was there live. That match felt like fucking magic. Whoever was the agent or whatever that laid out this shit, it was a fucking masterful job. I think in Fire Pro they call it like the showman style.
Yeah.
This was like the pinnacle of that style. It was insane. So on crowd alone, on how this match was laid out, it might have been the most exciting match I've seen. Like top 3 at least in my life.
Yeah, mine is a little offbeat too. I saw the Johnny Gargano Andrade match live, the NXT match, and that ended up being the first official 5-star match I've ever seen live. It'll probably end up being the only one, I'm sure. And I was like, there is no fucking way anything's gonna beat this. And then I like really thought about it, and just because of the feeling of being there, I had to go with a real off the beaten path one. I picked Joey Janela versus Chris Dickinson in February at Deathmatch 8, which is the Brooklyn no ring death matches that Casanova Valentine runs. And I mean, I talked about this match when it happened, like way back in our February episode, and it's on our mixtape if you haven't seen it. But I don't think it's cool seeing on video, but just being live, it was like a really amazing feeling. I also talked to Welf about it to see if he felt the same way since he was there, and he was up there too with this being the best live match he saw this year. But it was just kind of like, I've seen a handful of these matches, and they're cool. They're all fucking cool, but the Joey Janela Chris Dickinson one was like, it seemed like it was just normal for people to have no ring death matches. They were like so good at it. I don't even know, and like it was just so fucking chaotic just to be in that crowd with it happening, and I don't know, they like really brought it to the next level. It was just like, it seemed like old hat for them. They had like all these spots planned, and it was just fucking, it was really fucking good, and it's not a feeling I could probably replicate with like a normal match, so I had to go with that one.
Next.
Yep. The getting around the corner here, 4 more left. The next one is the best mixtape match. This goes to the best match that we watched last year on our own mixtape, because a lot of the times these are matches we're seeing for the first time, or Al picks something that I've never seen before, vice versa. And this year was an easy winner for me. It was probably the most response I've ever gotten for a mixtape match, and that was Aja Kong versus Medusa, the shoot boxing match from All Japan Women's. It's since been deleted from our mixtape, but you can still find this on YouTube. Somebody's re-uploaded it like pretty recently. But man, there are so many people texting me about this shit and like how crazy it was, and people tweeting. And I thought this fucking match was wild. So yeah, this was an easy winner for me.
I gotta go with Chihiro Hashimoto and Dash Shako versus Oedo Tai. There was so much gut stomping in that match. I will never forget. It's ingrained in my brain. And I know Aja Kong and Medusa stiffing each other in the face for what seemed like an eternity. It was a sight to see, but man, gut stomping. 10 minutes, at least. It was horrifying. That was the one that left the biggest impression. Best tag team. I have nothing to add to this, but it's going to be Evil and Sonata. I like how they look together. And that's really my only justification for me giving them this award.
Yeah, I'm going with Lucha Bros, Phoenix, and Pentagon. Not to tip my hat too much, but Phoenix was definitely in the running for best singles wrestler this year for me. So this was an easy slam dunk, especially because I don't really pay attention too much to tag team wrestling. But I love seeing these guys. I hope I can continue to see these guys. And I'm glad. I hate being a person that says I'm glad somebody didn't go to WWE and get paid, but I'm glad they still haven't signed with WWE, and I can still see them pretty regularly. The next award is, again, for the MVP, basically, who we think is the best wrestler of the year. My answer, again, runner-up was probably Phoenix. He's up there, because that dude, I've seen him live enough this year, and he might not be like the most wild high flyer anymore, but like the shit he does and how cleanly he does it, it's pretty fucking amazing. So he's probably runner-up for me. But my number one is probably a little controversial, because he's a guy that the internet kind of hates now, because he's gotten really popular, and that's just how the internet works. Like if you get to a level of popularity where like normal people know you, then the cool people are going to start to hate you. And that's why I'm very glad we just sell t-shirts in small batches, so no one could ever hate us for being too mainstream. It's great. But it's very easy for me. It's Kenny Omega. Love him or hate him. No, I honestly don't even know why people hate him. He's been a video game dork for the last fucking 3 years, but all of a sudden, the last 6 months, people hate him for it. This guy he broke Dave Meltzer's fucking star rating scale. He's like flawless. I thought, the first 6 months I was still on the Okada train for best wrestler, but that last 6 months where his gimmick was being bad at wrestling was not a really good gimmick, I don't think. So I couldn't give it to him, but basically the match he had with Phoenix, Kenny Omega, the match he had with Phoenix in his final match in I guess the final match doesn't count because it was in January, but he just really sealed it for me. He might not be my personal favorite wrestler, but I'd have to give him the best wrestler.
This was tough for me, man. A lot of people are going to say Becky Lynch. I could see it, but it was just like a 5-month run, I feel like, towards the end of 2018. So kind of short. Asuka, I thought, had a super fun 2018. She won the Rumble. She had a really good match at Mania, and then she had that really good TLC match, but that Carmelo run wasn't that great. So I think my MVP this year is the ace himself, Hiroshi Tanahashi. I thought his G1 run was great. I liked his story arc where he was like, listen, Americans, I'm going to show you that Japanese wrestling is number one. I'm going to fucking win this tournament, and I'm going to prove it to you on the biggest stage next year. I really enjoyed that story. So, and plus he had an incredible match with Kota Ibushi. So he's my MVP. The last award of the night is the match of the year. Honorable mentions from me. I thought Ishii and Omega from G1 was incredible. Like I said, Tanahashi Ibushi G1 final. Also a banger. I know that it's a very popular thing to hate on, but fucking Okada Omega 2 out of 3 falls might have been the most incredible match I've seen for its difficulty. Mike was there. I thought Gargano Almas might have been at least like top 3 like best WWE matches of like the past 5 years. But I think a match of the year has to go to Takeda versus Kodaka, Big Japan 620. I've never seen a death match like this in my life. And I rewatched this again. The sprint, it was like a sprint throughout, but like the last 6 minutes, I can't get over it. The amount of violence that was going on in this match was remarkable. So I got to give it to it, man. It was an incredible ghoul season for all of us. And so they have a match of the year.
Yeah, kind of the same honorable mentions as Al. That Gargano match, the ladder match from the next takeover, the 5-way ladder match was pretty fucking wild. One of the Gargano Ciampa matches, Omega Ishii again, Omega Okada, the epic match, and the shorter one, Omega Jericho even. There's a lot of good Omega matches this year, but I went with the same pick as Al, the Takeda Kodaka match. This was a match that I saw built up on the internet for a few weeks, but again, it's a death match. You don't expect it to be the best match you're going to see all year, that's for sure. And once I finally watched it, man, I was just like, this is insane. I've never seen anybody wrestle this fast of a pace in deathmatch wrestling. And it's just a fucking wild was that I think everybody should watch. It is readily available on Russian YouTube, so you can watch it there if you haven't seen it. But yeah, this was a great match.
Those were our awards. We usually ask for people to write in, but not this year. Don't do that.
Too much.
Let's do some mixtape, Mike. Fuck it.
Yep.
We got Sabu. We got Minoru Tanaka. We got Raja Lion. And we got the Action Zone. Please stay tuned. And we're back with a jumbo-sized episode of Virtual Pros, episode 80. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on SoundCloud. Hit us on iTunes. Hit us on Spotify. And if you have any suggestions for the mixtape, hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. For the new listeners out there, you can find this mixtape by typing in Virtual Pros Mixtape on YouTube. It'll pop right up. I think it's like at over 200 matches at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty wild. The first match of the night is Bob Holly versus Hakushi, WWF Action Zone 3/5/1995. So I'm pretty stoked that this clip includes the Action Zone TV intro, which I feel is like pretty underrated. Todd Pettengill, who like, I just finally put it together that like Todd Pettengill sounds like a New York sports caller, like during this entire match. He describes Bob Holly as the Deion Sanders of pro wrestling. That's like a Dawson level reach here. Like fucking Deion Sanders played baseball and football. That's pretty impressive. Well, I guess driving cars in like wrestling is also pretty impressive too. I take it back. They're both pretty equal. I'm pretty convinced that in 2019, this matchup would like at least co-main event like any given like WrestleMania weekend match.
Yep.
It might be even better now than before, I feel like. So, apparently in 1995, there was a pretty hot angle where Jerry Lawler, he accuses Bret Hart of hating Japanese people. And, Jerry Lawler, he was willing to talk all about it on the WWF hotline. If anyone has a phone recording of this, like, I'll PayPal you $5. Please email me at virtualpro64@gmail.com. This match was a match, but this crowd, like, I don't know if it was because of, like, the video quality, but, like, it sounds like they're losing their shit. So, like, I feel like it's tricking me into thinking this is a fun match. Jinsei Shinzaki, he, like, ends this match with, like, this running senton, and it's, like, exactly how I get into bed every night. So, I thought this was cool. It's a slight recommendation. What'd you think?
Yeah, I had the same note as Al about the Jerry Lawler racist 900 number thing. And I was like, man, I hope somebody has that on tape because I'm dying to hear that. I'm sure no one does, but you know, just in case, I would love to hear it. So this is one of the low key worst commentary teams of all time. This is pre-prime Jim Ross when he was still kind of just like a southern redneck Jim Ross, and Todd Pettengill, who really fucking sucks. He was like the latter day Matt Stryker, but not. I guess that's not a fair comparison because Todd Pettengill just sounds like a fucking idiot. It sucks, but at one point I didn't write down who said it, but one of them, I think it was Todd Pettengill. He says, "You don't know whether to wrestle him or read him," about Hakushi,
Yeah.
and that's just that's not funny, man. But it brought me to think. I wonder whose idea it was for him to do all that writing on his body, because I was thinking about it, and it just seems like a little too creative for WWF at the time. Considering he was fighting a guy who was supposed to be a race car driver.
Yeah.
It just seems like, oh, we should make this guy look all fucking cool and paint him in these, this crazy kanji and all this shit. So it makes me feel like maybe Hakushi had that, or Jinsei Shinzaki had that idea himself, and he brought that to the table, but who knows? I don't know if I ever picked up on this or it was just something I forgot, but they mentioned that Hakushi means white angel, and I don't think I ever knew that, so that was cool. Another thing that Jim Ross says in this is that Jinsei or Hakushi is a modern day kamikaze, which is not allowed to say anymore. But I wonder how many. I haven't seen most of his run on New Japan on Axis, so I wonder how many times they've either had to cut out that line that he said, probably again, or if it's still in there, if they never cut it out, because I feel like Jim Ross is always dying to say modern day kamikaze. So. Let me know if you have heard him say that within the last decade. And that's about it. I thought this match, for what it was pretty good. If you're into that kind of... I mean, there are people out there that love this mid-90s WWF shit. I thought this was a pretty good match, basically based on how good Bob Holly's dropkick is and Shinzaki's undefeated streak that was going on right about that time. So if you are actually genuinely into these kind of slow, lumbering WWF matches in the mid-90s, this was a pretty good one, especially being on WWF's like B or C show at the time. My first match of the night is Raja Lion versus Giant Baba from 1987, All Japan Pro Wrestling. I had never seen this before. Rob Naylor was on the internet saying this was the worst match he had ever seen. And I was like, that sounds great. That sounds like something I need to see. Hope this doesn't disappoint. So Raja Lion, if you guys don't know, which you probably don't because I didn't know this guy fucking existed up until a week ago, he is a very tall Indian man. He is as tall or taller than Giant Baba. So this is basically a match of freaks. And who doesn't want to see that? I mean, that is what wrestling is all about. You want to see two freaks fight each other. So I was all about this. Raja Lion, I could not ID the song, but he comes out to a very 80s sounding R&B song. And you do not picture this guy coming out to such a song, but it is a great entrance theme. So hats off to you, Raja Lion, if you chose that yourself. This match is terrible. I don't know what else to say about it. Raja Lion, I don't think anybody told him this was fake. I think they told him that maybe everything wasn't on the up and up, but I think they told him to go out and fight as if he were to really be in a fight, because he's just throwing these wild bad kicks. And a couple of times right in the beginning, he falls on his ass just trying to throw these kicks. The only other thing he does besides throwing kicks is sometimes he throws these real weird chops that, I don't even know how to explain them, but it's definitely not a wrestling chop. It's definitely not like a violent chop. It's just a weird chop. Giant Baba does not do much. He's just kind of like lumbering around, just waiting for this guy to fuck up, which again makes me think it's real. He was just like, I'll just, I could take this guy. And I don't know, maybe Giant Baba's a shooter. Who knows? But and also this match, for some reason, is in some kind of weird rounds format, even though it stops in the second round. So why even bother? Just fucking make a regular wrestling match. It ends, I think the guy taps out. I don't even know. And then Tiger Jeet Singh and a man in a hockey mask run into the ring and attack Giant Baba. And then it's just kind of forgotten about that he even ever fought this Raja Lion character. It's all in all a bad match. The crowd was somehow into it. I'm really shocked this just didn't ruin All Japan Wrestling's reputation forever, because it was like super bad and super shitty looking. And it did not disappoint. It was a very bad match. What did you think, Al?
A lot of the same notes. I don't know who does Raja Lion's theme, but it's pretty funky. It doesn't fit him, but it's kind of rad for that reason alone. I'm loving like this super primitive looking timer at the bottom right hand of the frame. I don't know why. It's like I'm watching like a 80s like NBA game or some shit. Yeah. So 58 seconds in, according to this timer, it's definitely one of the weirder mixtape entries. So Raja Lion, he's doing like what I like to call like SWAT team door opener kicks to Baba's chest, but like they don't look very threatening at all. And like later on, Giant Baba, he takes like a fucking crow cop head kick and he doesn't even flinch, which is like pretty sweet. I kind of feel like Giant Baba always has like a smirk on his face, and like the quality on this video is not very good, but I feel like he's smiling this entire time while getting kicked, mind you. So yeah, like Mike said, it wraps up in the second round. And I think Giant Baba tapped him out to some like sort of like ZSJ crucifix.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was weird, man. Like I really don't know what to make of this. It was bad, but like I couldn't stop watching. My last match of the night is Ligula versus Minoru Tanaka, Battle Arts 7/20/2000. I'm in a fucking mood right now, Mike, and that mood right now is revisiting some of the premium styles of wrestling that should have had a longer run, and that's Battle Arts. And so I picked this match because like I thought it'd be a good showing of what Battle Arts was, which was like, it's this promotion that was like obviously like centered around shoot style, but it was like completely open to mixing with other styles. So that's why you saw like Great Sasuke make cameos. I think Bob Backlund came around one time. I'm pretty sure that match with Ryuji Yamakawa, where he gets like kicked in the face with a barbed wire kick pad, I think that happened under the Battle Arts flag. And so here we are with like this brutal shooter in Minoru Tanaka versus a luchador. So I was like thinking about wrestlers that like I've been personally like on the floor, the ground floor with, and like Minoru Tanaka is definitely like one of those guys where like at first like you hear whispers of like how good this dude was and like how he was next up, and like at that time as like an impressionable teenager I was like, yeah, I'm all in, even though like I've never seen this guy. And so like when I did see him I was like, man, this guy has a flying armbar. He was like, kicking the shit out of people. He was like hitting like running topes like it was nothing. And I've never heard of this Ligula guy, and I thought that was like kind of like a peculiar name. So I did some digging, and I found out that this guy's not even Mexican. He's Japanese. His name is Katsumi. And his name is supposed to be like a mix of Leon and Aguila, so lion and eagle, which is lame because he's like not dressed up like either of these animals. So here we are. I'm already disappointed. So 5 minutes in, like my impression of this guy, Aguila, it's not very favorable. He kind of sucks. He does like this hip toss to Minoru Tanaka, and he jumps in the air for no reason, and that just seems unnecessary. He kind of makes up for it later on in the match. He does like a standing iconoclasm, which is Seema's finisher, or it used to be, I feel like. I've never seen that, so it's pretty sweet to me. And then he definitely makes up for this match by doing like a shooting star press, and he just falls on the top of his head. It was scary as hell. So this match is clipped. So maybe the person that clipped this match like just hated Minoru Tanaka. Like this match just looked like he was getting his ass beat for like 8 minutes. So yeah, it wasn't that good. I'm gonna make up for this Minoru Tanaka hype next episode, because I have this tape where he wrestles Tajiri, and it's crazy. But I can't recommend this. What'd you think?
Yeah, I have a record low amount of notes for this, and my notes are pretty much exactly what Al said. First, Battle Arts is it's the one kind of shoot style leading promotion that I've been into, just because there's still enough pro wrestling in it where it's not super boring to me. So that's why I always appreciate Battle Arts. Yeah, same story as Al. Minoru Tanaka at one point was supposed to be the guy, and it was one of those things where I also found out early. I think I even had like a best of Minoru Tanaka tape at some point, you know, even though hardly anybody even knew who the fuck he was at that point. And like, it just never happened for him. I don't know what, I kind of stopped watching. So I don't know. I know he was like the New Japan light heavyweight champions for a little while, but I guess it's just because no one was watching at that point. So he just like never blew up as much as he should have.
Yeah.
Like he's not the flashiest wrestler, but everything he does is, you know, it's pretty crisp. Like it's very believable. It's very good. And he looks, you know, he's a handsome man. It just seems like it was a slam dunk for this guy to, you know, be the next whatever, like the guy who 75 people are making a t-shirt of right now. But it just never happened for him. It's just, I don't know. He's just like kind of lost in time. It's kind of like the year 2006 where people were switching over from DVD to streaming, and there's like a lot of media that's been lost in just that 1 year because it was like a weird year for shit. So Minoru Tanaka's like that. And the other note was Al forgot to mention, he mentioned the shooting star press, but he did not mention this idiot did it off the second rope like a fucking moron. And that was like you could see him going to the second rope, and you could see his body motion where you're like, oh, he's going to do a shooting star press. That's stupid. And he does it and lands on his head. And yeah, I don't know, man. Was he scared of the top rope? It just seems like logically the stupidest thing you could do is try a shooting star press from the second rope. This is a fucking dangerous move from any height. I don't know, man. I don't know if he thought it would be more impressive if he landed it, but obviously he didn't. But yeah, outside of that, this was a bad match. This was just like not fun to watch. But hopefully Al does make up for it with a better Minoru Tanaka match.
People in the biz, if you do a shooting star press off the bottom rope, you're going to win my 2020 Sabu Funeral Award. I guarantee it. No problem. If you could pull this off, that might be the most impressive feat of high flying ever. If you can do that on the bottom rope, let me know.
So my last match is Sabu. It's Sabu versus a man named Richie Magnet from 1986. This is allegedly the earliest recorded on videotape Sabu match that you can watch. I believe this was found by John or Jonathan. I don't know what he goes by, but I don't even know if I'm pretty sure he listens to the show, but I think he unearthed this, and I was immediately like, I got to put this on the mixtape, even if it sucks. And it's definitely an old timey 1986 American wrestling match, that's for sure. It's Sabu in just, you know, regular wrestler underwear, knee pads, and like a real wrestler uniform, looking very young. And Richie Magnet, who looks like a jumping Jim Grabowski type. He's kind of like got the big bloat, and he's kind of balding, even though he doesn't look old enough to be balding that badly. And at one point, there's, for whatever reason, I think this is Gordon Soley and then some Australian man or something doing commentary. And it's hard to hear because it's old and it's kind of muddy. And but at one point, I'm pretty sure he says Richie Magnet was the rookie of the year. And this guy doesn't look like he could be the rookie of the year for bowling even. So for him to be some imaginary rookie of the year for wrestling, you're not fooling anybody, man. He was no rookie of the year. Then it's revealed that Sabu, aka Terry Brunk, likes to go as Terry in his middle initial, Terry G. So his original name was supposed to be Terry G. Nothing strikes fair in people's hearts like a man named Terry G. So that was bad. It's amazing he became a legend later on, stuck with a name like fucking Terry G. The Australian man, I think it's Australian man, it might be both of them. They mentioned scientific wrestling 150 times because it is. It's just these guys throwing each other the ropes, doing headlocks, doing drop kicks. It's pretty blueprint scientific wrestling, I guess you would say, where it's just kind of boring. Back then, I think scientific was more of a term for boring. And it's kind of weird to see Sabu doing this stuff, doing this very bare bones style wrestling. And he's quick. He's definitely quick. You can see his quickness in this. And so it's basically not the greatest match to watch. Unless you are a Sabu super fan, you're not gonna see like a proto triple jump moonsault or anything like this, or a proto Arabian facebuster. But if you've ever wondered what it's like to see Sabu as just like a boring wrestler, this is a great match to watch. What did you think, Al?
Yeah, so this is 1986 Rookie of the Year versus Terry G. And if he did win this award, I can kind of see why he won it. Like this big, mobile, technical wrestling man. Like, that must have been mind-blowing in 1986, I would think. So, yeah, like Mike said, it's pretty fucking jarring to see Sabu clean-shaven, in underwear, and, like, being described as a scientific wrestler. And so one of the announcers, he made a remark about how neither of these guys had to resort to dirty wrestling.
Yeah.
And that was pretty great to hear, seeing as, like, one of these dudes, I'm not going to tell you who, in the future would, like, be super gluing his wounds during a barbed wire match. So that kind of cracked me up. So yeah, it was definitely neat as a Sabu fanatic to see like the origins of like Sabu clapping like in the air while doing moves. Like that carried over. And so like that was like one of my favorite wrestler quirks was Sabu clapping while he was doing his moves. Speaking of quirks, so Richie Magnet, he does a cartwheel during this match, and I think more fat dudes should do this. I think we need to see some more cartwheels in wrestling in 2019. I miss this a lot. So, okay, in the old WrestleMania game, I feel like Bam Bigelow did a cartwheel as like a taunt. Did he ever do this in the ring?
I think he did cartwheels a lot.
I just don't recall it. Why don't I remember this?
That was like what made him impressive. Like that's how he, outside of the tattoo on his head, like, he did a cartwheel once, and people were like, whoa, if that guy could do a cartwheel, and that was the end.
Did he do it during the Lawrence Taylor match? I'll rewatch this. I don't know, man. I gotta see this Bam Bigelow cartwheel, because, like, I feel like I've only seen it on Nintendo.
You know, my memory is hazy, so I can't recall if he did it as, like, a defensive move in a match, but he's definitely done a cartwheel either as, like, a taunt or something.
Any other fat guys? Did the fucking Big Show do one ever? Listeners, let me know, man.
There's no way Big Show's done a cartwheel.
Dude, I remember back in the day where people were like, yeah, dude, the Giant did a moonsault at the WCW power plant, and like he was supposed to bust it out, and he never fucking did. I think that was a total like urban legend.
Yeah.
Anyway, my last note of the night. So the bell rings out of nowhere, and according to YouTube, the bell rings at 9:21. As this match was ruled as a time limit draw. I'm gonna fucking write to Dave Meltzer ASAP. I'm guessing it was a 10-minute time limit.
Yeah.
They shorted me fucking what is that? 39 seconds.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Whoever booked this in Hawaii, I'm gonna talk to you about this. But yeah, man, like as a Sabu fan, I enjoyed this a lot, and I think you should watch it too. It's very curious. That was episode 80 of a very jumbo-sized Vrtl Pros podcast. Email us at vrtlpros64@gmail.com. We're 20 away from 100, Mike. How does that make you feel?
I feel like we've done 300 episodes, so it makes me feel like we're still young and spry.
We still got it. Yeah. 81 in 2 weeks.